Hello, world.
Do you guys follow? Yeah, and the follow. Come on. What are you waiting for? Don't hesitate.
There it is.
It's okay. We'll have I'll put a little music in the background while we sit here and talk till I can get this chat where I can read it. Hello. Yes, see, we got two people. That's you guys hanging out. Good. So that'll give us some nice extra numbers. It's always good to boost the numbers.
Let's share that on here real fast.
So social media inclined, it took me to the end of the show to figure out how to find it. Dang it. Sure. Probably not. Underestimation of my
A little bit.
Just a teeny bit.
No. Again.
Are you?
Yeah.
Go for
Sure.
it.
You know, Let's see that password. Give me that web key.
Already checked.
Give me that web key.
If I remember it right. That's the biggest problem.
Which of your three go-to passwords is it?
Some from the 69 and the other
I do have a few passwords. All right, we're just
69.
yep, 6969.
It's not 420,
Well, the
No.
420 is inherent.
I
It's in
did
there
something.
somewhere. I mean, it's not the end of the world if I don't share it yet. Catch me back.
I got it that time.
Woo! Web key. We're talking about the web key.
Yeah, web keys.
And we're in there.
We're in Lakeland. Hello, Facebook. How is everybody doing today? Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out here with Girl Dad Gaming and Ætherial. I am James. This is Jay. These are our special guests today. They are all coaches from Ætherial. And without further ado, I'm going to let Jay get into his spiel and introduce his team.
I always love getting into the spiel. Good to see you guys. Always fun to join back in. Hopefully we get a couple more. Ooh, 7. What's up, chat? What's up? Everybody sound off. Say hello. Nice to see you guys there. I see you're out there. Say what's up. I'd like to say hello to everybody. We are super excited. We've got a couple special guests. As you notice, obviously the slightly disgruntled, bearded firearm aficionado that's usually sitting.
He's my favorite.
He is my favorite. He's usually sitting to my left. Chris had another engagement today, so we're joined by a couple of our other coaches from Ætherial, Coach Makayla and Coach Chris. I don't want to take a whole lot of time, so I'll just throw it over to you guys and let you talk a little bit. Makayla, go ahead.
Hi, I am the yoga instructor at Ætherial. Jay has been coaching me in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 9 months now, I believe. Something like that.
It's got
see
months
the
on
months
it.
on
Yeah.
it somewhere.
What's up, Raven?
You know, I can't keep track of anything. But yeah, that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah, nothing too crazy for me.
Keeping it short and sweet.
Short and simple.
Okay.
One thing I want to just make sure we hit on is the awesome name that you guys landed on, which was contextually challenged. Like, I love that.
So that's a fun story. If you caught the first episode,
Yeah.
and I think I actually ended up changing the title, but there's a comment on the YouTube page. If you feel like researching that, there's a comment on the bottom of the YouTube page that'll let you know how we came up with that name. Kind of fun. Check out our YouTube, Ætherial.llc, if you want to check that out. Go
Well, I think it's awesome, and it's just I've been telling these guys that I feel like I'm the first super fan that gets to come on the show. I watched all the first 4 episodes, and so to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Chris Pagano. I wrote down here how I kind of wanted to define myself first as a dad, a calculus-minded person, someone who's entrepreneurial, and someone who has a self-proclaimed it factor. So there's a lot to dive into there. I'm a very silly, kind of wacky person, and what I'd bring to Ætherial is a little bit of beginner level coaching for striking and jiu-jitsu, as well as I am the CPR coach, and I am recognized with the American Heart Association as a BLS trainer, which is basic life saving.
Awesome. So these two, I really enjoy how humble you guys are. I think it's a really sweet thing. But let me help you sell yourselves a little bit. Scott, what up, baby? So Makayla is, if you guys were paying attention, episode 2, when we were talking about the mindset of the athlete. This is the athlete we were talking about. So not only is Kay one of our coaches, she's going to be our yoga and aerial silks coach when we actually get our facility up and running, but currently training, keeping up on her credentials to be our instructor and teaching yoga right now. She's actually actively a competitor in martial arts as well. With that, same thing for this guy. One of our active competitors in MMA and kickboxing. So this guy's actually got a couple fights under his belt already in the amateur ranks, and brings that experience to the coaching as well. So it's super cool. You'll notice when you find people that are like well trained or kind of know what they're doing, the first thing that's out of their mouth isn't like, "Hey man, I can really fuck you up if I want to." Like, you notice the brags that I get from these guys are like, "Yeah, I'm this guy, okay, yeah, cool, all right, thanks, go to this person." It's not like, "Yeah, I've been in a couple cage fights," or "Yeah, I've competed and fought a bunch of broads at one time in different levels at 9 different people one day."
Yeah,
None of that stuff. Just like, yeah, humble, no big deal. I'm super excited to have you guys. I know James was stoked to meet you guys as being other parts of our organization, and I really wanted to have you guys come on to the show and have everybody kind of get introduced to you as what we do in other arms and facets of what we represent as a company, being Ætherial. And kind of let them hopefully get to know you guys as individuals a little bit more outside of just the respective arts that you're going to be teaching. And, kind of invite everybody into that whole idea that we have, even within the podcast here, of all opinions kind of being considered. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, chat, if anybody's paying attention. Tracy D, what's up? Beautiful.
Hey.
Nick, Justin, hey, everybody.
How you doing, Nick?
Justin. I was actually going to say it, but apparently Justin already called out the elephant in the room. First official female guest on the show, Coach K. Hopefully it's not the last one. We encourage all kinds of different guests and perspectives. So
I love how
excited.
it's my mod that turned off his badge and
Right?
said it too.
He knows who's going to police him, right? That's why you always got to watch out for the cops. Who polices the police? Way to go, Justin. No, I'm super stoked to have you guys in, and
Let's get to something real quick.
Go
though.
ahead. Jump in, baby.
I'm the only one here that has 0 fight training. I'll be totally honest. I have never been into karate, kickboxing, taekwondo, jujitsu, any of it. I love watching Karate Kid growing up. I like
Same thing.
I love the idea.
Exactly the same.
The discipline behind martial arts and the instruction of martial arts. The
You
discipline.
respect it.
I respect it a lot. It's just something that was not really part of my family. So I'm really excited to hear, from a competition and from a prepared and the mind meets the prepared and the prepared mind meets the competition. And so I'm looking forward to this conversation.
There's a lot of really cool stuff surrounding that whole thing. And one of the little parts, I actually had some coaching time this morning with Makayla, and we were working on a couple different things, and I had mentioned, obviously, coming on the podcast today. And the first thing that came up was, I'm 20, I've had one competition, what am I going to offer to the podcast? And I'm like, literally, hold up. That's something that you can bring to the podcast, believe it or not. That's something you can bring to the show. It is the idea of the level that you're at, still being able to achieve something, going from mild-mannered citizen to badass warrior for a weekend, beating a couple broads up, and the process leading all the way up to that point. So if you'd like, I can even toss it to you and just kind of let you talk about what you and I talked about in the gym before, of how you felt even when I asked you about coming on here, like,
Yeah. So it seems like a lot of, since I started training, has me just been telling myself, is cursing okay on here, by the way?
Absolutely.
Oh, cursing's okay, and just make
Yeah.
sure and project towards the microphone.
Say it loud, okay?
Yeah.
Lean in a little, there you go.
Don't be a bitch, basically. Every time I was getting ready to do something or getting scared or anxious about it, it was just I tell myself, if you don't do it, you're kind of just a bitch, so you kind of have to do it now. And that was the same thing about this podcast. Like, I told you no like 3 times.
Yeah, 3 exactly.
And then it was just like, I can't keep dodging it. If I say no again, it just like, it just.
I'm not going
And
anywhere.
then you start
Exactly.
defining yourself as a bitch by your own standards, and you
Exactly.
can't have it, so you do something about it. I love that.
Exactly.
And the fact that you set that standard for yourself is everything, and why people want to have a little insight from someone like you.
Yeah, thank you. It's that's exactly it. It's just like, if I don't do it, then I'm thinking of myself as a bitch, so therefore it's going to kind of project, and everybody else will too.
That's a great way to frame the incremental steps that we take to kind of get to our goals. You know what I mean? When you go from practitioner or somebody that trains casually in that, you know, family kind of training atmosphere, or maybe you just do it to kind of stay in shape here and there, but you've never really taken it seriously, and taking the mental step to go, this date is in my mind, I'm going to pick that date out, I'm going to prepare myself, I'm going to make weight, and I'm going to go compete on that date. There's a shift that happens that puts us incrementally closer just the very day that we make that decision.
Yeah.
And then every time we show up to train and practice with that goal in mind, every time the notch gets turned up a little bit more, and that incremental tension gets tighter and tighter and tighter until all the slack's pulled out and we're right there actualized, fully in contact with that goal. You know what I'm saying? That's so awesome. And I'm phrasing it a little differently than what you said, but it's really cool that you, even at this stage, can kind of recognize this is an objective. It's not like, this is hard, let me turn and run away. It's, this is reasonable, it's rational. I need to conquer this in order to get to a spot where I can actualize my truest form, my better self, level up, if you will, however you want to phrase it. You know what I mean? That's really cool.
That reminds me of Will Smith saying, right on the other side of fear is like life, basically, I think is what
100%.
his quote is.
100%. Justin, do you want to, Kate, do you want to read Justin's comment there?
Yeah. I like a woman that can kick my ass. Maybe that's why I love my wife so much.
Your wife kicks your ass on a daily basis, yes, Justin. Generally, all of our wives do.
Yeah.
And that's why we love them so much.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a perfect transition into me showing a little gratitude and respect for Girl Dad Gaming, and saying how much I love your branding.
Yeah.
And like my wife didn't quite get it. She was like trying to wrap her brain around the words and like how that makes sense, and like why would you brand yourself that way. And I was like, well, for me, like, it just instantly clicked. I guess that's because I'm a girl dad, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess like exactly, and it's just like, okay, well, I wanted to make sure that I pointed out that like you bring such an interesting perspective to the show that I never met you before. Hopeful to come on the show one day and whatever, and meet you, but like it's been really cool to meet you before meeting you, I guess is what I'll say.
No, I appreciate that. And
Kilowatts, what up, baby?
that's one of the things I love about chat. Like this whole environment is getting to interact with the people that are out there on the other side of the screen and cameras. It's different. It takes a little while to get used to, but once you get used to talking, and you're really just talking, and if people want to listen, then people listen, and then they start bringing in their opinions, and they get to really interact in a meaningful way, and they start to gain from that relationship, and you gain from that relationship, and people that you would have never met anywhere else in the world. It's not just a talking head show where they're on TV and you can't interject with your own
I really
comment.
want to recognize you as someone who's facilitating this excellently.
It's scary though, because you never know.
I'm sure.
It could be scary.
One thing I wanted to say too about I wanted to say each of you, Jay and Chris, who have seemed like you guys have been on each show so far. Now Chris hasn't or whatever, but like I love the different characters and the different things that
It
you
works.
all bring.
It works.
You laughing.
I love that you say characters, because like we are just characters.
We're a bunch
man.
of characters.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that makes it so much fun. When we were literally getting ready for the show to start out there talking, I was saying to Girl Dad, to James, that I'm really excited. Like, I just enjoy doing the show because it's so much fun. I get to sit and hang out with people that I care about, interact with you guys.
Yes, I can,
and
Nick.
have a good time.
I can run for as long as I want from EFT. I'm gonna run from EFT until you're ready to take me and make me rich in that game, because I'm scared. The last guy I went and played with on that game, we didn't extract once. So
It's a very difficult game he plays. Escape from Tarkov, right? Is that what it's called?
Escape from Tarkov.
Escape from Tarkov.
It's
I want to give her the context of what you're talking about.
I thought you were talking about electronic fun transfer.
it's,
Remember,
it's,
gaming channel.
Right.
Right.
You spend a lot of money to go into a game and get kicked in the balls repeatedly throughout the day while you try and loot stuff and hopefully get it out of said video game. And then make fake money and then get way too caught up in this whole thing, and like it absolutely drives you into depression whenever you
So they
lose everything.
combine like a video game and blockchain kind of or something?
Yeah, they combined everything they could in entire entire money marketplaces like economies within the video game. So and it's Russian made, so they have zero.
Regulations.
No, they have zero. They don't really care.
I
They have zero empathy.
I thought
they
that
have
was
zero
what you were saying.
empathy
Cut
for
and dry.
whether or not you enjoy playing the video game.
Watts, what's Grounded? I've got issues. I haven't stopped playing.
Play
for
Grounded.
days. What's Grounded?
Grounded,
You know what that one is?
Grounded is a sandbox style game, so it's like Minecraft, 4-player. It's set in I believe Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I don't know. You may be too young for that, but
I've seen it. Believe it or not.
so it's set in I believe a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of. You're in a backyard and there's
Gotcha.
ants and spiders and but it's you're building things and crafting and running around hacking up mushrooms. It's not my kind of game, but
Minecraft on steroids. Good. That's good.
Minecraft on steroids.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
nice.
Hi,
Sounds
Kyle
terrible.
Watts. How are you doing, by
Sounds
the way?
absolutely
What up,
terrible.
Kyle?
So my competition, I have competed in Call of Duty, so I have competed in the video game side. I have won a competition and I've placed in another. But it's stressful in a way. Like there's a lot of things that you can kind of plan for when you're going against somebody face to face. When you're going against people over the internet and you have no control over like where that person is in the world or whether or not they're using is using hacks or whatever. There's no accountability.
Sure.
Basically.
Yeah.
So it's very stressful when you're like trying to do your best and the person on the other side could just straight out be cheating and ruin your entire and cost you tons of money if you're a really good player. And
Sure.
so it's the competition world right now, I think, and they've changed a little bit of that by bringing competitions back not into an in-person thing necessarily, but into a custom lobbies. So everybody's in a lobby that only they can be in. So it
Identifiable, basically.
makes it a little bit more fair, but and it puts those people against the other great people instead of just random people all over the world.
But it's funny
So-
the way that you shape that. It kind of brings us to a really interesting point within the realm of competition. There's this inherent joy that you have in describing and playing the game, until we bring in the fact that other people might not be playing on a level playing field. Right? The element of that unfair competition somehow changes the amount of joy that we have in the exact same experience. Right? The game itself didn't necessarily change. The outcome obviously is less than desirable, but the game nobody came in and morphed your hardware, right? The outcome wasn't desirable, but that element of unfair competition changed somehow the chemistry of that entire experience to go somewhere negative versus I was really jacked up talking about this for a second until I started talking about these cheating ass mother effers in Ukraine with their goddamn rig controller flipping tables over, right?
Yeah.
It's really wild. So even when we go back to with your competition a month or so ago, I think you guys remember, chat, we talked about 9 matches in a day. Gi and no gi being your very first competition grappling. And like you talked about before, taking those hard L's and what that can do to the ego, right? How bad does it suck anytime we take that L, right? Whether it's a conversation, whether it's looking up a fact on the internet, Tracy Lynn, when you get Google challenged, by your significant other, and you have to Google it, and it turns out you're wrong and eating that L, or getting beat by somebody, physically dominated by somebody on the mat, and having to verbally or physically submit, and then get up and
Shake their
fight
hand.
afterward.
How you respond is so defining.
Yeah, and then you have to go in there and do it again in like 5 minutes.
In your
5 minutes to catch
situation,
breath,
absolutely.
And then you gotta go and face it again.
And it's a great allegory for life, right?
Yeah.
Like you started to talk about, and hopefully maybe you'll expand on that. But in your situation, it's a great way to kind of train us automatically to pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and get ready to go do it again. You have to leave that behind and go do it again, right? Whereas if it's maybe a physical argument or something, where our ego gets that same bruise or that same little flick damage.
Did you say ego towards me a little emphatic?
To everybody. I'm talking, baby. I'm talking in the room.
I'm just
Ego is
Ego's
a
a mother
hard
ever.
thing to let go of.
But
Absolutely.
it's a little different, right? When we get that little ego flick, maybe on social media or with our significant other, and we get that ego hit in a similar way, but that person's not across from us. We're not forced to get up, look them in the eye, and shake their hand afterward, right? It's a really interesting dynamic.
Hi, Brandy. How you doing? Thanks for liking the stream.
Tater champ.
What's your thoughts on forgetting what just happened in competition and moving forward and being able to perform at your peak level in the next round?
I think a big part of it for me is having to recognize when it's my own fault instead of putting the blame elsewhere and putting the blame on like, oh, she was just better than me and so she deserved that. It could be like more, I let myself give up halfway, and if I look back at the tape or if I think back about it, like I can see the exact moment where I was just like, I gave up right there and just quit fighting. And the big part for me to be able to fight better my next match, or to think about how, oh, that's in the past. I mean, like, I can't do that again. Be able to recognize, like, oh, it actually was my own fault.
How that blows my mind at 20 years old that you understand the concept of what I believe Jocko Willink would say is extreme accountability.
Personal accountability. Hell yeah.
Extreme accountability. Saying that it's not my problem, it's not something I caused, but I'm going to raise my hand and take fault as far as take on the challenge and say that I can do something about it, and then pursue that. Whether you think you were the root cause of why it occurred or not, it doesn't matter. It's literally irrelevant. The most important thing is conquering the mission at hand, and literally lollygagging back and forth about who's at fault or whatever is irrelevant. Taking extreme ownership allows you to then go straight to solutions and problem-solving steps, basically.
Exactly. It's like I can't change what I did, but I can change how it happened in my next match. I can look forward to the next time being like, okay, when I feel that, just know like there's 5 seconds left. Why did I have to like just stop right there?
Well, you got to go to the whistle. You can't. I mean,
Everybody does. Play the whistle.
After 9 matches, that whistle is
It
really
feels
far
very
away.
Absolutely. But that's tournament
Right, but
competition. That's the being prepared for that last whistle. Like everything that you work for in practice and leading up to your competition, it's not about the first whistle. It's about the last whistle.
Right,
Yeah.
no, absolutely.
It has nothing to do with the first whistle. It has nothing to do with any of the whistles in between. It's that, are you ahead or are you fighting until that last whistle? Did you give up before that last whistle?
Yeah.
Then you didn't practice hard enough. You didn't prepare enough to be in shape and fit and mentally sound at that last whistle more than your opponent did.
Absolutely. And it's super important to acknowledge the distinction there, right? You guys both hit it, I think, directly on the head, even in your own kind of different ways, but there's a difference in your physical performance and output, whether it's in a sport on a mat or in this realm of just normal life, sitting here interacting with this desk and other people talking, right? If I dwell on the why rather than the solution, all I'm going to have is that problem. It's never going to get fixed, right? If we sit, your example, and think, crap, this bitch just passed my guard. Why the hell did that happen? I worked on this. I don't know why this is going on. The whole time we're beating ourselves up about it, guess what? She's smashing your face and continuing to work. Next thing you know, you're in a submission. But, like you said, personal accountability allows for us to correct and make those hopefully positive steps to go forward, right? Detach, leave it behind, address it, go forward, leave the ego with it. We don't get to bring the baggage anymore.
No.
The ego's what wants to hold on to the story and the why. The productive, hopefully positive, growing, abundant athlete that's kicking ass and taking names and doing all kinds of awesome stuff with laser beams coming out of their eyes is
Love being in that mode.
fully engaged in the moment, detaching from all that baggage and kicking the maximum amount of ass in each second as they possibly can, and adapting and adjusting along the way. Not completely separating it so that we don't learn from it. Obviously, we want to learn from it, but like you said, taking the accountability to not bring the why with us, just take the strategy from it. Yeah. Jocko, right? It's real easy to go, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, but there's 30 people in a room pointing at each other, picking out the blame, and nobody's worried about solutions, right? How do we go from here? How do we fix it? And I think obviously everybody could probably make the parallel to a lot of what's happening in the surrounding world with that exact statement, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of to the point where people don't talk to each other anymore. People don't want to be family anymore. All this. But how much energy is actually being spent on? Okay, there's a problem. We all know there's an effing problem. Who cares if we agree on how it started?
Solution-based
Let's figure
thinking.
out the facts and fix it.
Even without facts, solution based thinking, but just trial and error.
Yeah.
And you can only talk for so long before talking, obviously, which does nothing. We've proven that we can talk for hours and days and months.
We're just going to change definitions on each other, and we're just going to move the stick in each direction and explain why, we're not going to concede our point. And it's like, okay, well, then where did we get? It's all about trying to find a common ground, but if, like, literally you come to a place where you can't find a common ground, you have to agree to disagree and then take up the slack somewhere else, I would guess. Then
Yeah, but even that would be an agreement, right?
That's where
I don't agree to that either.
That's where you don't have to agree. That's where you don't have to agree. That's where you have to find compromise.
Yeah,
sure.
Like, you don't have to agree and compromise. The whole point of compromise is that you don't agree.
But that would imply that also implies that both parties are interested in progress, or growth, or mutual benefit, right? If somebody just wants to jerk the wheel to the left and crash the car,
chaos exists.
And that goes all the way down to even just friendships in your
100%.
life.
Absolutely,
it doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't have to have anything to do with politics or any of that in general. It could just be you and your friends and they're on a different path than you're on.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Kyle Watts. It could be anything, dude. That's an example. A lot of people have had those that didn't work out before, but
yes,
there's lots of stuff, dude. It could be lots of stuff. Unfortunately,
Kyle mentioned marriage.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we're talking about, that ego attachment's what makes us want to figure out or fix or take ownership of that person or the reason why the car got yanked hard to the left and crashed into the wall, right? Rather than collecting yourself, making sure you're cool, getting out safely and figuring out how you're going to get to where you were going. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And often we get caught up in the
what the F did you grab the steering wheel for?
And what happened and where was that and what happened and this guy did that to me and it was their fault and if you didn't yell before I left the house and you did and the story and it spins and spins and spins and spins and ultimately when you realize who's spinning that wheel,
we fall into that trap a lot very easily.
We all do.
Yeah.
We all do. It's a sticky one to get out of, especially when you're used to that voice being back there all the time, and a lot of us get taught to identify with it. I know we've gotten away from competition as a whole, but not so much now. But even you're a little bit younger than us, but still old enough that when we were kids, you get taught to identify with your conscience, right? It's the Jiminy Cricket. It's the good voice in your head telling you, the devil on this side, the angel on that side, whatever it is. All these are aspects that's actually you. But when you realize that those things fall away and there's still something there, like an example, one that gets really rooted deeply is that whole ego thing. If we allow that thing to kind of take a little bit of step back, right, and get rid of all those ideas of, you did this to me, I'm upset with you,
Yeah.
rah, 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 it often opens up a lot of space to be able to think and elaborate and all that fun stuff. You wanna pop on there and read what Justin was saying?
Oh, sure. Where are we?
Justin is the cynic of the group, so we have to remind him of some things sometime. But go ahead and read.
We'll get
that
caught up
first
with you,
big
Justin.
comment
We
on
appreciate
Justin.
Yeah, the first one. The facts are I fucked up now that I have to fix it. If I don't fix it, you sure as hell ain't going to do it. We can agree to disagree, but sometimes there's no common ground. I agree with that, but I don't really think there has to be a common ground on a lot of things. Like, a lot of the time, you're gonna be around people you don't like. You're gonna be doing things you don't like. It's just part of it, you know? Like, there's definitely people at the dojo that, like, you don't want to not like, you just don't rub the right way with them, you know? But I don't understand why everybody always has to search for some kind of common ground. Can't you just agree that everybody's different people and is going to think differently than you? As long as it's not impeding on what you're doing, why are you looking so hard to just
Amen. Oh my gosh. Amen. Jeez.
I love it. I mean, it goes to some of my other personal core beliefs of personal sovereignty and stuff like that, but there's a lot of layers to get through on that. The whole idea of why do we have to like each other is really weird concept for people. It's not
It
that
is.
I actively have to dislike you or we have to have static or animosity, but it also doesn't mean that we have to be pals if we just don't mesh. Like, we can respectfully stay the hell away from each other.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's a cool thing to do if it's done with respect. You know what I mean? And that's a perfectly fine thing to acknowledge. Go ahead, sorry.
I had a teacher drive that point home to me once when he told me a story about how he didn't like his brother. And I was like, well, yeah, he's your brother. You have to love him, don't you? And he goes, no, I don't. My brother's an asshole, and I don't like him. I don't like who he is, and I'm not friends with him, and I don't have to be. And you don't, as a little 17-year-old kid, have the power to tell me what is and isn't. And I was like, oh, like, I thought I had to love my brother because I do love my brothers. I've got two older brothers that I love and respect,
Sure.
and, like, my very, like, quality family values were instilled in me. And so, like, that kind of shocked me and, like, drove that kind of exact point home to me at 17.
Sure.
You know, you can pick your seat, you can pick your friends, you can't pick your family. So, you know, family's family, whether you love them or not.
Absolutely.
You don't have to like them because, like, they're not. You didn't pick them. You know, and that's up to the individual person as they grow up to make their own informed decision in their own way. But it is to one side, and growing up as a family person in general, yeah, it's really you get taken back when you meet people that aren't close with their family.
Right. That's
and then the same way, and vice versa, in reverse, people that aren't close with their family, when they meet somebody that is close with their family, it's like this. Oh my God! I didn't even know that this existed. Like, this is what a family's supposed to be. It's you know.
Sure.
So it goes. Every mirror. I guess it's a mirror thing. It has a
Duality of
reflection.
life.
You know.
Absolutely.
So.
It's a great way to keep in mind that with every variety of person that we meet in every day, there is just as wide of a variety of stories and history, and not all of them are able quite so easily as I'd like to preach and teach and consider that I can sometimes do myself, at least. They're not as easy to leave that behind in an interaction.
Yeah.
So if we can kind of keep what you just said in mind on the day-to-day, it becomes a little bit easier to not take it so personal when that lady at the supermarket says or does something a little shitty, right? Or we get cut off by so-and-so, or this doesn't go our way, or that person was really, really fucky to us for no apparent reason. Like, I literally just walked up and you came at me way sideways. Just like you said, the variance in history, it can go to the day, it can be the generation, it could be all kinds of stuff. It could be, you know, I never grew up with my parents. It could be my wife left me this morning. We have no idea the relative scale of where their hurt came from or any of that stuff.
Nope.
But either way, it just comes right at you full force because, again, they're taking it like a big old suitcase full of anvils and just dragging it with them right up into that moment and that interaction with you. And all that force and weight's coming behind them with it. So, you could shoot somebody a smile and you got a freight train of negative energy coming at you. The cool part about being able to...
Of course, that smile could change their day, too.
Hopefully, absolutely.
I'm
getting there, too. But the cool part about not wearing yours in the same way is if and when you do encounter it, you can still leave it there, too.
Yep.
You don't have to take it with you. And like you said, hopefully when you meet them in an open and understanding spot with an extended hand out or hug, or if you're still into the COVID stuff, a fist bump or whatever you knuckleheads are doing these days.
The elbow touch.
I'm on the foot.
Yeah, the foot touch. Yeah, I like to interlock toes. Just when I meet people, I take my sock off and
hey,
say hello.
stop giving away our thing, bro.
But like that was my thing.
Not when the kids are here. Not when the kids are here. But you know what I'm saying? Like it becomes it levels the playing field. You open yourself up to honest and earnest communication, and like you said, maybe that was just the honest, no baggage smile that they needed to let them take a half a breath for a second and embrace you in a level and an open spot, and maybe at that point they can get reached. Maybe you can actually do some good for them that day. Who knows?
It's something you have to take a shot at. So,
Killer Watts, he's almost dry, buddy. He's sipping though. Way to call him out though. I'm a little low myself, but Killer Watts, he is a hawk. That guy.
Kyle,
appreciate.
We're gonna have to have a conversation later, buddy.
We appreciate that you're paying attention to those.
He's
those
definitely
details.
paying attention, man.
Would you like to come over and fill my cup up for me?
I could use a little cup.
Garcon.
The girl that cup runneth over.
That's okay. I'm gonna go get all of them some.
You're the man. We'll keep it
some
running.
refreshments. But
you were about to ask me something.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say,
my fault.
Chris, what is something that you prepare for? Like, what is a way or mentally, like a path that you take to prepare yourself for whether it's competition or whatever you're doing at a high level? What do you do to kind of prepare that? I'm gonna go fill some stuff up while you tell them.
I think that's a great jumping off point for me.
Thanks,
because I'm actually reminded of when I played tackle football for 10 years since I was a little kid, and then I performed at a pretty...
he meant he played tackle football with little kids.
Right, correct, the whole time. No, in fact, I was a little kid on the field, 155 pounds, going against these offensive linemen. I was playing like outside linebacker and defensive end at 155 pounds. I started on varsity as a sophomore, is what I like to say, and blah, blah, blah. But I was very much into that Friday night's lights competition. The lights go on. We work as a team. We try to accomplish a goal. We represent the school. I was very proud to do that.
Fully bought in.
Yeah. My coaches had such a huge impact on my life. I define myself as a football player in some aspects as kind of like a weird kind of popular, unpopular kid, as I like to say. I basically fit in with the cool kids, but I wasn't necessarily one of the cool kids. Like I wore jean shorts until I was like 14, and like found out later kids made fun of me for it and this, that, and the other. I didn't have a lot of style until I met one of my friends, Shane. I definitely give him credit for that, so shout out to that. But anyways, back to the competition mindset. I used to get a lot of my kind of killer mindset from Coach Fenton growing up within the context of football, and performing at that high level for my team and being accountable and finding success was like no drug I've ever found to be able to replace like when you make a tackle and all 11 people on the field and 40 people on the sideline are like, yes, you did exactly what we asked you to do right there. You just did it. We all recognize it. The couple of hundred people in the stands did it. The announcers calling your name, number 37 Pagano, over the radio, and that was like an adrenaline rush for me to be a part of that. And then I graduated and I didn't go play college football. I kind of thought, okay, now I need to get into more of my academic stuff and pursue that route. I'm undersized. I can't play at the next level, so I dropped it. And then I found martial arts as my next way to fill that void of not having an outlet for my, what I would call like kind of male, I don't know if it's fair to call it male, but I call it my male like aggression and energy, if you will. So I got into kickboxing about 4 years ago. I had always I dabbled in martial arts a little bit here and there, loved watching Jackie Chan films growing up, Jet Li, like I was inspired by all of that. My parents never really had the extra kind of funds to put me in like a karate or extracurricular thing, so I just always kind of stayed on the outside looking in, wishing I could be a part of it. And then once I became a young adult at 21, I took my first jiu-jitsu class, did that for 8 months. Some crazy stuff happened, moved from Florida to California, then back to Florida, started my family, got married, and had a kind of epiphany at the age of 24. I looked at myself in the mirror. My Eli, my son, who was just born. I had my daughter Hazel, who was first, and my son Eli. I was 193 pounds, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "You're a badass. You tell people you're a badass. You present this. You know what you want to be, and are you that?" Is the question I kind of asked myself, and I was like so far from where I thought I was going to be at where I had idealized myself as my younger self, that I like literally had this epiphany and I changed, and I started running in a parking lot in a church that was next to my house, and I lost 40 pounds in 2 years, and I kept it off, and I started under Jay's tutelage, and just
Tracy Lynn, hashtag tutelage.
Just literally refound how I wanted to define myself, basically, as someone who is going to pursue their goals and also be a dad and also be a productive member of society, but also be Atlas, if you will, and continue to pile things on my shoulders until the point where I collapse, because I feel like if I don't do it now, I'm going to regret it, and if there's no time like the present almost. So
an important thing I'm hearing there is the reality check, right? The ego check that unfortunately a lot of people don't make it out of when they hit that wall initially, when the childhood dream suddenly gets pulled out from underneath them and the oh shit moment happens, and it's like, crap, maybe I'm not gonna be the starting center fielder for the Yankees. Fuck.
Now what am I gonna do?
Now what do I do, right? But
now I go play amateur ball and just continue to push the dream
and
until
work, right? And grind. Some. Maybe I'll go start slinging rice-a-roni in the back of the Kroger. There's an important transition that happens in detaching again from the ego identity with the role of football player. The fact that you're able to take it and put it down, and the essence of Pagonster continues on. It's able to then transition to become something else. If it holds on to football player, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to get sad. It's going to get upset. It's going to be disappointed. It got rejected. It's going to come up with some story about why shit didn't work out and why it's a failed athlete. And, if my knee was right and my back never X, Y, and Z. And I threw 4 touchdowns in one game. Al Bundy story.
I already said I was undersized. I could put my excuse why I didn't go to the next level.
But it's an important thing to remember, and I'm going to use it as a reason to kind of get back to what you were talking about in terms of your last competition, but his is obviously a little bit more macro of a sample and yours is being a little bit more micro, but still having to kind of go through that win-loss cycle, having to hit that hard wall of loss. And you had the first experience that most people don't get to have, going out and winning in your first ever competition, right? And then a short time later, going out there, completely gassing out, going ghost white, and losing by submission. Not just losing, but losing, I'm not saying it to be mean, but we talked about it already, and I've already gone over the video with her, so she's heard it a million times, right? I'm not saying anything she hasn't heard.
So proud you ran the game.
Coach, important. But losing badly, right? Going from high to low, and then still having to come back. Why don't you maybe talk about what you, and you don't have to get crazy, but what you physically felt like in that moment, going from that high to that low, and what it felt like to kind of snap back out of it.
Okay, so coming up to the fight, I got really sick like a month before it, and I was having a lot of trouble like breathing, and I did not have my cardio where I wanted it to be at all. I've never had good cardio. I'm a power lifter. I don't fucking run, so my cardio is not good.
She said it with disdain, like hatred in her voice too. I do. Fucking run.
There's so much
Get out of here
for it. But to top it off, I was like just coming out of being sick, and I was like in my head, I was trying so hard to focus on not letting that become an excuse that I think I kind of subconsciously let it become an excuse by overthinking not letting it become an excuse. And during it, I was like, okay, don't let yourself gas. Don't let yourself gas. So I was thinking about gassing so much, like just about like 3.5 minutes in, I think, she took mount, and I just like went flat on my back, and instantly, if you go flat, you've already lost. And she was able to push my arm over. But afterwards, I was thinking about getting ready for my next one. I was like, I didn't actually gas, though. I could still breathe. I can still see. I'm not tunnel vision. I didn't actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was in the moment. It was bad, but it's like nothing is as bad as like fighting with you, you know, like neither of the girls feel as horrible as you two. So it's like the next one's not going to be as hard.
It's an important thing that you see and recognize also, and you kind of said it from the beginning, and I'm just pointing it out, not even necessarily for you, but like there's a lot of insight in what you're saying. The reality and being able to look at that and say that you conceded in that moment. You didn't get beat necessarily. I don't know even if you caught yourself just now saying it when you were talking to the chat, but you said, if I lay flat, I'm going to get beat, and I laid flat. Like, you wrote your own prescription at that point, right?
My spine is flat. It's like over here.
Oh, it's crazy because we do that to ourselves constantly, right? God, today's going to be so fucking annoying. And then what do you get? Annoying ass day.
You manifest what you
and more often than not, we hyper train ourselves to do it in the negative, right? Because it's reinforced constantly because you always see it. And my ankle fucking hurts every time this happens. Oh shit, my ankle started hurting because it happened. Well, now it's constantly reinforced. But if you ever try it on the opposite, it might actually do something. I didn't mean to interrupt your story. I'm sorry. So coming out of that L, it was just, I thought it was so clutch that you're like, if I go to my back, I'm losing. Yeah. So I went to my back. It's like that Chappelle Show skit. Yeah. I look like grinding my feet in somebody's couch. So I was grinding my feet in this couch.
Right. I love what I feel like you just said there, though. You're like, I'm not mad that I lost or that I didn't win. I'm mad that I realize now I sold myself short.
I let myself.
Right. And I'm realizing now what led up to that decision, and I'm realizing now that I can choose to make a different decision, with those same type of inputs.
Next time.
Correct.
Next time. It's always about the next time.
Yeah.
You cannot succeed unless you have failed multiple times before.
James, preach.
Yeah.
You don't just come out of your mother's womb successful. Nobody does.
You don't make a light bulb on the first try.
You fight, you fail, you fail, you fight, you fail.
Yeah.
And you fail again and you fail again. I mean, Colonel Sanders was 65 when he wrote the recipe for KFC chicken and became a billionaire, and his family was taken care of for life. But he failed at every business up into that point, and
that's an entrepreneurial spirit, what I would like to hit on, as far as that's what I see that being, is like, and that's what I feel like I enjoy saying that I have is that ability to want progress for the sake of betterment.
Kyle.
Just saying.
Yes, Kyle.
He hasn't seen the new science. No, you guys haven't seen the new science. Supposedly, it's not the first sperm that gets there. It's the first sperm that also the egg chooses as acceptable. So it's not necessarily the first. It's the first one that's acceptable. So that's what supposedly some new science says. I don't know the citation, but internet, look it up. That's
internet, look it up.
Internet.
Yeah. We can always, I guess we can say we won the first race if we want to go that far back in our world and call that a race.
If you want to. Well, let's I want to kind of get back to where you were in that overall experience in your mindset. So let's kind of paint the picture again. You won your first match, right? You get into your second match. You said you kind of set yourself up psychologically to not perform your best. Let's not say gas out because I don't want to give you an excuse. I'm still coaching even though we're here. you set yourself up to not do your best.
Yeah.
Right? Match gets called. Referee stands you both up.
Mm-hmm.
You see me, you see your family, you fix your gi. What's going through your head? Take us through the next couple steps. What happens?
Going into it, the whole thing, I was just like, I have to let myself just feel everything. Like, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling nervous, I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm like, oh my God, I'm finally doing it. There's so many emotions going on all at once. So a big part of it was I need to be able to feel everything, but also be able to, like, take a big, deep breath and then just feel nothing, you know? I have to be able to just set it aside when I need to, and that's kind of what I was doing. I was like, I can't let myself get upset about it. My whole family's here. I have my mom's here. She might even be watching this right now, maybe. But I don't. Yeah, right. I can't just get upset about it. I don't have time for it. There's another match in 5 minutes, so I gotta feel it, breathe, set it down, and walk away from it. And that's kind of just what I had to do. Just turn around and be like,
So,
it's okay.
You guys, if you watched episode 2, you know that Makayla's being really cool and coy here, but I flat out told you guys, and she gave me a little bit of guff for it, but she puked like 4 times.
Oh, yeah. I definitely
So she left
puked.
that part out. But after that,
Yeah.
right after the physical body had to get right,
Yeah.
she let me take a close-up picture of her and then got right back into the game. So.
Okay, it's not that I let you. I was saying in the water.
All right,
you
I
would,
jammed the
you're
camera in her
like
face.
this, like smile.
So I jammed the camera in her face. We'll say
Yeah.
The forced reaction.
Yeah.
that. Yeah, absolutely. Watts, first thing getting up from any match is fuck, I'm tired. Yeah, you don't train, Kyle Watts. I appreciate you being on the stream though. I'm glad you finally turned off Forza or whatever you were playing and did something else on Facebook though. That's G though. So you psych yourself back up.
Mm-hmm.
You blow chunks. You talk to your family. I give you a little bit of a pep talk. You catch your breath. We're right back out there. Gi's on, ready to start the next match. Without having to necessarily get into a strategic play-by-play, what happens? What's the emotional roller coaster look like from there? So now we've already gone from high, slam down to the floor, gearing ourselves back up to perform again. What happens after that point?
If I'm being honest, going into the third match, I was just like nothing. It was just like, okay, anything that happened before then, it's just like blank. It's just like, this is the new match, new fight, starting over from the beginning, going into there. So there wasn't really like, after I got my sip, I got done puking, it was awful. I was like really bad, and then he rubbed my shoulders, gave me a pep talk, and I stepped on the mat, and then as soon as I stepped on, it's just a little bit blanking, you know? It's just like, gotta
Like
go
you
back
hit
into
reset,
it. Yeah.
You'd done what he had hoped to do for you.
That's
Yeah,
so
I
cool.
gotta just go
That's so
into it.
cool.
Right.
Like you literally puked, expelled out all your nonsense, physically and emotionally. Were able to get to the edge of the mat and go, boom.
Yeah, I got it. I paid to be here. I can't just like walk away now. You know?
Financial obligation.
Skin in the game.
Follow the money.
Skin in the game.
Yeah, right?
I paid to get my ass kicked.
Exactly.
I'm getting my ass kicked.
Exactly.
Follow the money. Follow
Get
the
my
money.
full share back.
So you're ready to hop back in there. You psych yourself back up. Slap, bump, begin. What
It-
happens then?
And then what happened in that match? The next match?
I won.
Ah,
I won my next match. I don't remember.
Talk. Let's give him a little bit, just a little bit. You don't gotta go through the whole thing, but maybe give him a little bit. She does that in the next. Go ahead.
I honestly don't remember if the next one was off a submission or points.
So, all right. I know it was a busy day. I remember because I was vehemently.
because I'm the coach.
Because
Yeah,
I'm the coach.
he's a
I need to remember, but. It's the kind of the reason I wanted you to go through the story is because of that like dramatic rubber band. So Makayla's first match, she won by points. So she beat the girl. She got to an advantageous position and she was able to keep control until time ran out. Okay, so she didn't win by submission.
Yeah.
Still a great victory, dominated her opponent. It was awesome.
Girl was very strong and
Girl
very,
was
very sweet.
awesome. She was
Yeah.
really great. Hopefully, maybe we'll get her on here one time too when we start doing silks and stuff. She's a great girl.
Yeah.
The second match we already talked about. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
go so hot. Kind of got beat up a little bit. Maybe a little bit of quitting happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cool
A lot.
part
No,
about-
actually,
Yeah,
a lot of
lot
it.
of quitting.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna.
Flat
I'm not
out
gonna.
admit
No,
it.
no.
Flat out.
A lot
If
of
my
quitting
back touches
happened.
the mat, I'm gonna lose.
A lot
So
of
I
quitting
put my
happened.
back
So
on the
then
mat.
I laid my back flat on
A
that.
lot of quitting happened.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not gonna let her.
It's all
Like, she's a
good.
competitor. She can handle
Yeah,
it.
she's good.
Yeah.
She's all right.
He's giving it all to
Yeah,
me.
she's okay. The coolest part about the whole thing for me, and like I said, I know it blended together a bit for her, was the result of that next match. After she was able to blow chunks, reset, get a couple sips of water in her. We still couldn't get her to eat any food at that point. She was like, oh,
I didn't eat anything all day. I was like, if I do, it's
I tried to get your husband to give you a couple bites of your Cliff Bar. He's like, I don't think she's gonna eat it. I'm just gonna try. Just try, please.
He knows me. He knows I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think he just did it to appease me because I'm just please, dude. But the coolest part about the whole thing was after all that adversity, the puking, she's telling you she's on the edge of the mat, shoulder rub, like taking those deep breaths, collecting herself, and then right before that step onto the mat, everything just goes, and she goes into what I like to call the flow state when I coach. That's like ultimately that's the goal, when we can detach completely from all baggage, and we are 100% locked in and focused in that present moment with all of our effort and energy. I'm not thinking about what you're going to do or what I did or what I could have done. I am there locked in, and you have my full attention. I'm fighting you. I'm not fighting my thoughts or your thoughts or any of that. I'm fighting you. That flow state's when we can be our best, right? Mm-hmm. Makayla gets into the flow state, and executes her first submission victory of the tournament. Okay, never won by submission victory before. Goes out there, gets her first sub victory of the tournament. Goes out and executes like a fucking assassin.
Yeah.
Okay, gets up. I give her the yeah. She keeps cool, calm, collective because, like I said, assassin. Not a rookie, right? Fucking assassin. Calm and chill. Gets her hand raised. Shakes her opponent's hand. Shakes her coach's hand. Walks over. She's like, yeah, fuck yeah. Goes out the exit. Almost fucking collapses. Almost fucking collapsed. Went and puked again. We had to get her rehydrated. But the important part is, guess what? When it's fucking game time, the switch was there to be hit. And she hit the fucking switch because she knew she could.
Yeah.
And when the match was done, she was able to go back, collect herself, and reset yet again. And guess what? She went out and did it fucking 4 more times after that. And walked away with 2 silver medals in her first competition. So, I mean, what did it feel like? I know it was kind of rushed at the end. I mentioned it in the other one, obviously, as well. But when Makayla was in the gold medal match for the no-gi part of the competition, they were starting the preliminary matches for, or vice versa. When she was in the gi finals, they were starting the preliminary matches for no-gi. So she was in the finals over here. They're calling her over here. So I'm doing this. She's trying to fight. It's a little bit of a thing. When you had both of those medals... After everything was said and done, you got a little bit rehydrated. Your mom, sister, and grandma, I think, were all there.
And grandma.
And your husband, of course.
Yep.
Shout out Noah if you see this.
I think he's watching.
What up, Noah?
What's up, Noah?
Maybe.
When we're all there, you've got your 2 silver medals. The work we've gotten up to that point has at least for temporarily reached its crescendo. What do you feel like in that moment?
I was like, okay, when is the next one? Like, up until like my last match, I was like, I want this to end so bad. I just want it to be over. I don't want to fight anymore. And then after it was over and I got my medals, I was like, oh, there isn't another match? Like, when is the next one coming?
Well, at that point, you'd already kind of run through the gauntlet. I bet like 9
really
probably
tired.
felt like 40, so it's probably hard to tell anyway.
It was so hard to tell what was going on. I was really tired, but it gave like a little bit more of that blood thirst, like a little bit more of like, okay, maybe I should start training more. Maybe I should get a little bit more into it, And then
I think the other thing that actually competing has made me want to do is to continue to set those dates where you're gonna compete, because you realize that you don't compete unless you set those dates. And if you don't set them out far enough, you're not going to be ready. And if you set them out too far, then you're still not doing anything. So it's like finding that balance of how often am I going to compete at my elite level or whatever that is, but it's just like once you get a taste of victory and defeat and everything in between, and that it is the drug that I can't replace with anything else. Like I had said before, like I thrive for that moment when there's 25 people in the crowd watching me, and that I know, a couple hundred people that I don't know. I care more about proving to the people that I do know me that I am a man of my word, and that it's weird because I do define myself as a fighter. I do define myself as a competitor. I had my brother-in-law joking on the stream that my wife, shout out to B-Mac and Miss Pagonster, we were streaming and having a good time playing video games, and the fact that my brother-in-law is very competitive got brought up, and then he mentioned, I know someone else in the chat that's pretty competitive, and I was like, I'm going to raise my hand right now and say I know a lot of people, and I'm probably one of the most top 3 competitive people that I know. So like I know I come off as a character, and I try to portray myself as a competitive person and an intellectual in some capacities in what I feel I have knowledge in. So I just implore you to find something that makes you feel this way, because if you don't have an outlet that makes you feel this way, you're missing out on something that I feel is what helps me define myself and my life and my goals. And besides being a dad, of course, and all those other
It brings
things.
you to a really cool part in the conversation where we get to do that little whoop full circle thing.
Yeah.
Kind of come back around to the beginning, right? Because I see we're kind of getting close on time anyhow.
Very much so.
But the aspect of how you motivate yourself, one of the other little things I kind of picked out of there, the aspect of being on a fighter schedule is you figured out how to be able to motivate yourself outside of the gym, setting dates, working towards those dates. It goes back to one of those things, chat, you hear me kind of preaching ad nauseum when I get all my woo-woo shit. You guys probably love it.
I love it.
Aligning yourself to your goal, making it real in your mind and in your heart before it actually happens in the real world. If I set that date, it's concrete now, at least in my mind. Everything that I do between now and then hopefully should be in alignment with making that as efficient and optimal as possible, right?
Yeah.
Without that date being set, it's hard for some people to motivate themselves to that optimal level on a daily basis. And that daily incremental increase is where most of our awesomeness happens.
It is. If anybody in chat, we got a few people hanging out. Are there any in particular questions that you guys would like to ask our guests?
Kyle Watts must be on the sippy.
You guys have been back and forth talking all sorts of this stuff.
Kyle Watts is the 150 tater champ.
I got my old man in here. Hi Pops, how you doing? Thank you for the 100 stars, by the way. I appreciate that.
Papa Girl Dad, love you.
Hi, Dad.
And but yeah, so if there's any questions, real quick, we're down to the last few minutes. I think Jay summed up kind of what we were talking about really well, and I really loved the conversation. The competition, the prepared mind is what we all strive to before our competitions. To have a prepared mind and not be worried about any of the things that are happening outside of what our task is at that moment, which is hard to do.
Right.
It's really hard to do, and that in itself takes practice.
Right.
And in order to practice that, you have to compete. So it's a vicious cycle.
Absolutely.
You got to practice in order to compete at a high level. So if there's any questions for our guest panel here today, if there's anything you want to know about them or anything more that we have to add, now's the time.
I'd love to jump in with one more, and unless we get something real interesting on there. This is I was listening to a really interesting chat with a guy that. He's a psychologist, and he is trained in historical Buddhism out of Canada, I believe. Dr. John Vervaeke, and he was talking to a guy from, I don't know, some Spanish-speaking country, really broken English.
I don't.
But he was asking him about some martial arts-related philosophy type stuff. And something that was really important that I came across in that conversation that I actually ended up speaking with my sister about, it really got me thinking after the fact, and we had a whole conversation about it. From a coach's perspective, it really struck me. And this is me potentially asking a future athlete, and extend it to yourselves. What's your goal? To dominate your contemporary, or to transform into a dominant martial artist when necessary? And with that, we imply kind of what we've been talking about, right? Being able to take that history and put it down and step into the role that you need to perform at your optimum level at that time. Tracy, if you're still on the chat, we had a really good talk fairly recently about just a really good frame of reference. You think about like a waiter carrying a platter around, and every time he goes over to somebody and they say something nasty to him, he has to take a martini glass from him and put it on his platter. By the end of the night, he's just got this giant fucking mass of martini glasses from people that don't give a fuck about him, and he's carrying them around all night. And he isn't able to make any money because there's no fucking drinks on his glass that he can, on his platter that he can serve, right? But if he takes all those shitty comments and every one of those empty glasses that he gets with a shitty comment on it and just sets it down for the busser to come by and pick up later, his platter's nice and empty for every opportunity of a fresh glass full of martini to come on there, and he can serve it and give it to people.
Make his 20%.
And make his money for the night and do what he's there to do, right? And then guess what? When he's done being a waiter, he can leave his vest at the door and go be a good dad, right?
I hate to do this to you, but I'm pretty sure Kyle Watts just called you out.
For what?
When's the official date, Coach?
Kyle Watts does not train in martial arts.
No, you. But when's your official date? You're talking about setting this goal. So when's your next competition, there, Coach?
Ooh, we'll see. My competition right now is opening my gym.
Yes. And that's a large competition.
Once my gym's open, we'll talk about that, Killer Watts. One monster at a time. Yeah, I appreciate the laughy face. One monster at a time, brother. Once I get those walls up, we'll talk, Playboy. I promise.
How do you keep the voices in your head quiet? I think that's interesting. Do you want to touch on that?
Oh, I missed that one. Mike, that's great.
Yeah, sure. So I think a lot of it is, like I said before, you have to just listen to it for a second. You got to feel everything. You got to feel scared. You got to feel like every single emotion through it. But you also have to realize, like, there's been 1,000 people before you who've done it. You're like nobody's paying attention. Nobody cares. If everybody else before you has been able to do it, what's your excuse for you not being able to do it, you know?
Validate it, get some perspective, put it to the side.
Exactly.
There is a constant process of refinement that I think gets lost in the overall question of who are we and what are we doing here. Ultimately, people like to get on a high hill and sit on this perch and cast out judgments from here as if they are this perfectly actualized being or entity, right? Mm-hmm. But more often than not, they're not willing to, like you mentioned before, shine that mirror and look inside. And when you're able to have that honest look within yourself and see that stuff, it doesn't necessarily become personal when you see it in somebody else, so you don't have to be as upset about it or take ownership of it. You know what I mean?
I wrote something down here: the ability to accept and adapt to criticism, and then progressively move forward is. Yeah.
And that's just it. With that process of refinement, right? All the trials, the hardships, the bull crap that you've been through in your life, the stories that you've told me, the stuff that you've told me. We didn't even get into her something. She's got some good stuff for you guys too. Maybe she'll share some of that one day. But all of that stuff is that process of refinement. And if we can kind of keep that in mind as we go forward, it makes the going forward a lot easier. As you realize that each time the hammer swings and that chisel fucking impacts deeper and deeper, those crucibles, all those hammer swings that you're going through are really just refining the art piece. It's not taking anything away from you. It's just chipping away the bullshit.
And sharing, part of why I created this channel was sharing my life and my journey and embracing that new world that we do live in. And I feel fortunate that I'm able to now bring in other people and share their knowledge and journeys with the community that I've worked on building. And
this shit's awesome.
I
love it, man. I love doing this every week. Chat, hopefully y'all like it too.
We don't get to share in each other's experiences enough nowadays. We look through our phones and we see what other people's lives that are living, but we don't sit down and talk with those people. So through this whole thing, getting to talk to a lot of different people looking forward to being able to grow what this show
Yes,
is.
you've adapted to technology in order to be able to produce something like this and share something like this with individuals that you think should be promoted in this way. And it's just like, if I were you, I would feel like a freaking champion right now that you're on a road to ultimate success in your own definition of that. And that's all that matters, is that you're meeting your own definition of it.
Yeah, and
100%.
it's just as hard as anything else. You're gonna have people that are gonna doubt you. You're gonna have this. There's gonna be a million different hurdles and steps in the way along the ladder.
I'll let you kick me in the balls when we got 100 people watching.
Every day. That's right. And so
The fun thing about what you're saying with him and I, with the whole show and all that fun stuff, dude, the conversations beforehand, it's just that. Like, literally, it's, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Let's get some good vibes out there, and we'll keep it 100, dude. All right, well, should we do it? Nah, let's just be us, and we'll see what happens. Well, Chris is really into what he's into. You're really into what you're into, and I'm really fucking into what I'm into. So let's put all that together.
Yeah.
We vibe really well together. We can all fucking talk, and let's just see what shakes out. And let's keep it as real as possible and have a good time doing it. And, dude, it's been so much fun. So
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you guys, but I know I can speak for Chris. He's not the other Chris that's not here.
yeah,
join us
Chris
now.
is
Shout
not
out
here.
Chris. Love
So
you, brother.
Chris, hey, hi,
Dude,
Chris.
we love and appreciate it. It's so much fun every week, and I look forward to this every Wednesday.
Favorite character.
The
yeah,
best
no,
character.
we
The
did
best
we
character.
missed.
We just got to get him to talk more.
I missed
Not about
Chris's
shooting.
Oh, he
rants.
was passionate.
not about
he was
ivermectin
passionate about
and
those
not about
horse-
shooting people.
horse-
Yeah,
If I can get him to talk, not about
right, not
ivermectin
about
and
just
shooting people,
right.
we're great.
but I mean, I shoot
I
people
love
on a
you, Chris.
regular
I love you,
basis
Chris.
on video games, so I'm okay with it. You know, it fits
No,
well in the community.
it's all jokes, man.
But we
I
look
do. I
forward
appreciate
to,
you guys coming in too.
We
It's
look
awesome.
forward to giving a voice to a lot of people in our community. I am going to be bringing more stuff into this as the show grows, ladies and gentlemen. So,
Yeah.
you know, all your support and love, you guys being here, commenting, sharing the stream, liking the stream, especially on these streams where there's, like, we are not in an algorithm here. There's no game tagged, like, Facebook is not helping us. All of this is all natural. It's all from you guys, from chat, from our guests, friends, and families. And so as long as I'm here to give a voice to everybody that I can and share different life experiences with my chat. I even might have something tomorrow special, tomorrow morning. If you love animals and you have ever wanted to ask a vet tech any questions or anything like that,
Oh, she going live.
we may be live tomorrow morning having coffee and talking about animals. And so you might want to check that out tomorrow morning. Again, we're trying to create more content and bring more of you guys out to interact with us. Hi, William. Thank you so much for the stream share and the like. We are unfortunately ending here shortly.
Appreciate you anyway, Willie.
But love you, William. Hopefully you're doing well and everything is okay. I know you're going through your own stuff, so we're going to continue doing that. I can't wait to bring my dad on and talk about employment stuff and sit here and really get into some of the entrepreneurial entrepreneurship. I don't know how to say that. I'm trying to say a word I don't think exists. I don't think that word exists.
Entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship.
It's a
he can
word.
say it.
I know the definition.
But yeah, maybe he can talk about a little bit about the things that he's gone through, and we can help with some different things there. You know, so we're gonna have a bunch of different content that we're bringing out.
The point is, Girl Dad's here for the
Show
love.
up.
He's here for the community. He's here to put the vibe out. He's here to help us put the vibe out.
Spread this to your friends, because
Share,
if they can go
let somebody
back
know.
and watch like these episodes and gain the perspective that I was able to gain and have the fun that I was able to have through those 4 hours of content, and like shout out, I never wanted to come here today without saying, Freelo, you're freaking amazing. Like,
Shout out Jason Freelo.
Oh my
Jason.
gosh.
Shout out Freelo the band. Freelo Music.
Yeah, exactly.
FreeloMusic.com.
Mr. Garcia on the trumpet was
Killing it.
literally the hair on my arm was standing up.
FreeloMusic.com.
Just talking about it, it's happened again. I listened to the 4 songs again on my route here. Just can't say enough how impressed I am.
Check him out at Stilthouse Brewery on Sundays.
So,
Also check me out there.
We might have a full live broadcast on Sunday from Stilthouse with Relo live. So
Heck yeah, for the birthday bash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we might be bringing the whole studio over there to Stilthouse.
Be on the lookout for
on
Jay behind
Sunday.
the bar. Just slinging beers back there.
We'll
having
go
a
and
good
hang
time.
out and have fun and listen to some music and interact with chat. That's what we're here to do. So
Can't wait to see you guys next week.
signing off. This is Girl Dad Gaming.
Ætherial.llc on all your social.
Makayla at Alamon, and thank you so much for having us. That was like
Absolutely.
it was really exciting. I was really nervous about it, but it was fun. I really liked it.
Yeah, I
Great.
appreciate you coming.
Chris, I'm with Aetherial. I definitely would send you there first, but then also Instagram, Bread for Your Head.
Bread for your head. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Have
Appreciate
a wonderful
you
night.
guys. Catch you
We
next
will
week.
see you soon.